Hey everybody, welcome to the Song Revolution podcast, brought to you by Nashville Christian Songwriters. Nashville Christian Songwriters exists to empower Christian songwriters worldwide. I'm John Chisholm, and this podcast exists to bring you valuable songwriting insights, inspiration, interviews, and just all around good fun with some of the greatest songwriters, producers, arrangers, artists, and creatives, and beyond. You can find out a whole lot more about us at NashvilleChristianSongwriters.com.
Hey guys, John Chisholm. We have a great show lined up for you today, and I'm very excited to get there. But before we do, I wanted to take just a moment or two to remind you of some of the great things going on around here at Nashville Christian Songwriters. The first thing is that we've just recently launched NCS membership. Now, what is NCS membership? Why should you care? And why should you join? Well, first of all, let me tell you that we're offering to you at a very low price, top shelf information and inspiration to help you become the songwriter that you were born to be. We're going to be offering fresh monthly content, audio and video that will it's not going to be available anywhere else. We're giving away song critiques. We're giving you connection with writers around the world, community forums. And one of the things I'm most excited about is we are giving our members free quarterly masterclasses. Our very first one is July 22nd with yours truly and David Baroni on modern hymn writing. If you're interested in writing songs that are going to last for the next 100 or 200 or 300 years, you need to be in on this class. If you're not a member, it's going to cost $49. But if you're a member, it's absolutely free. And it's one of 4 per year that we're going to be offering. And that's at least $100 value per masterclass. So for the low introductory price of $149 for your first year in NCS membership, you're actually getting over a $400 value, not to mention the free song critiques and all the other benefits of being an NCS member. So go to NashvilleChristianSongwriters.com today and join up for the low introductory price of $149. And it will be going up to the regular price of $199 in the very near future. So act now, go join today, and jump in on this thing. The next thing I wanted you to do is go ahead and mark on your calendar October 5 and 6 this fall. We're launching our very first NCS annual Songwriters Conference, and it's called Empower Your Songwriting Dreams. We're already lining up our headlining talent. We're going to have great artists like you've been hearing on our podcast. You're going to meet great industry personnel up close and personal, people like we've been introducing on our podcast. I'll be there. I'll be teaching. We're going to have the whole NCS team there available to talk with you, to meet with you, to be up close and personal. We're launching the registration on July 11th. So be sure and check that out and all of the other great things happening here at Nashville Christian Songwriters. And now on with today's podcast. Cool. Well, I'm sitting here today with Jennifer McGill.
Hello.
The lovely and the talented, and absolutely lovely and talented. I mean that. I called somebody else lovely and talented the other day on a podcast, and they're talented. Are they lovely? I don't know. But anyway, you're truly lovely and talented.
Check and check.
So, Jennifer McGill, the truly lovely, truly talented, truly God-loving, amazing singer-songwriter,
Keep it coming.
performer,
Keep it coming. No.
actress, model,
Yeah.
wife, just an amazing person. So
Thank you.
A friend of mine, co-writer of mine, and just a deep well of talent and just amazing things. So Jennifer, welcome to the Song Revolution podcast.
Well, thank you, John.
Glad to have you here.
I'm glad to be here.
Jennifer McGill was a child star on the Mickey Mouse Club with some very famous people. Jennifer, why don't you just kind of recap a little bit of what your child life, actress, all of
the basket of,
Yeah.
of entertainment that I was pulling from. Well, I started singing super, super young. I was a little bitty girl and my mother was a music teacher. And so she kind of sniffed it out early, I guess. And so that was one of our favorite things to do, was to rehearse songs and rehearse hand motions. And then I got to be about 7 years old and I wanted a crown because I'm from Texas and I watched the Miss Texas pageant. And so I was like, Mommy, I want one of those crowns. So then she started making making me costumes and put me in these pageants. And really, I could care less about the beauty part. I was bad at it. I was pigeon-toed and I just couldn't remember where to stand. But I loved singing. And so I just became this vocal gladiator of sorts where I just left it all on the stage, bloodied, and brought my crown home. I was like shaking hands and, good luck to you, but I'm going to kill it, And so I just was this little tyrant on the stage. But then it's like I got out all my crazy, in the moment of singing and getting these crowns and getting these awards. And then I just went home and I was just this happy little go lucky kid who wasn't thinking about entertainment all the time. But then the Disney Channel found me when I was 10 years old. And I think it was part of that sort of normal kid quality that I had in between times that I was singing that drew them to pick me to be one of the original Mouseketeers for the new Mickey Mouse Club pilot and then into 7 seasons of the Mickey Mouse Club. So I was one of 3 that stayed episode to episode as a cast member for that show while it was on the Disney Channel. 7 years. It was 7 seasons. I want to say it was about 6.5 years total. Okay. But even with auditioning, it was, basically 7 years.
And you were with some very famous people.
Yes. I met Justin Timberlake, Christina Aguilera, Brittany Spears, and Ryan Gosling when we were itty bitty kids.
Right.
I mean, I'm older than they are, and at the time I was much taller than they were. It was really, it's funny to look back on the times when we worked together as just peers, Mouseketeers. Is that a thing? Mm-hmm. And they were like 12 and 13, and I was maybe 16, 17. And, I really cherish the little kid memories I have with all the Mouseketeers, but it's really cool to see them as adults and, just treading through so much life and remembering the sweet little souls that I used to hang out with when we were kids. Carrie Russell was an older castmate as far as, I looked up to her. She was one of the older kids. JC Chazet from NSYNC was also there. And as a side note, I went to high school with Joey Fatone. So I do joke that if I touch your shoulder, you're going to become famous.
Right.
Because I pretty much, everybody has just gone on.
Oh, touch mine.
Okay, touch. There you go. You're going to be famous. You're totally going to be famous. It's coming. So, it's just kind of this, I've just met so many random people through my travels as an entertainer that have become celebrities even past the Mickey Mouse Club.
That's great.
I can't remember her last name, Nicole Scherzinger. I don't want to say it wrong, but from, I think, the Pussycat Dolls.
Right, yeah.
She and I were just in Greece together at Summer Stock, and she was Cha-Cha, and she'd strum her guitar, and we would just have talks about how, I don't know, I think I'd like to write songs. I think I'd like, and then she became, Katy Perry, when she was Katie Hudson. I met her behind the scenes of a tour when she was a Christian artist, and we talked about her dreams, and then there she goes. It's just, so there you go. Your shoulder has been touched.
Okay, you've touched my shoulder 8 times now. So
8 times.
I know.
It's coming back at you.
That's cool. That's cool. Well, it's an incredible way to start. And one of the things I wanted to ask you about was, what is life? And we're going to get into what you're doing now, and we're going to talk about your journey as a pretty new singer-songwriter and going for this thing with this new record and your ministry and everything that you're doing at this point. But do you feel like, of course, that has to be a major positive thing that you started your life like that. But, a lot of child stars don't end up well. And so do you feel like in the end, there were many positive things that you learned out of that are helping you still? Or do you feel like you had to overcome something?
Well, I think it's both. I think because I overcame so much, I think now I'm wiser and I'm able to turn all of the trials and tribulations into helping others now. So I know that doesn't always happen that way for children who start out being asked to do so much that is professional and adult and responsible at such a young age. And, the Disney standard, we were held to such a high standard of professionalism as well as trying to channel raw childhood talent. It's really hard to be asked to act like an adult, but then act like a child as you're professionally trying to be an adult. It was a very hard time as far as identity for me, because I became a professional when I was 11. And I think that in a way, I was wrestling with, for many years after the Mickey Mouse Club, wondering if that was my peak. because you see all of these celebrities coming out of the new Mickey Mouse Club. And for a long time, I did compare myself with where they were and where I wasn't in relationship to them. And so I did go through a lot of questioning. I still want to do this as a career, but it isn't happening, whatever it is. A lot of people can relate to, are you looking for fame? Are you looking for fortune? Are you looking for local recognition? Are you looking for certain people to give you props for what you've been doing? I mean, it can surface in many ways, and I've pretty much been through all of those. But now that I've come through the dark time of questioning my worth and my value, what the miracle really is that it's all now just wisdom. It's from my experiences. I see that I was searching for the wrong type of validation for me, like for what I was meant to do. I'm meant to sing. I think that's what I was questioning for so long. Am I meant to still do this career? And the answer is yes. But why do I need the world to know about it? I mean, that's a question everyone has to ask themselves. That's not always the same answer for everyone. But my answer was that I don't need everyone to know what I'm doing all the time. I don't need to be a world-renowned talent. I just need to do what I do with excellence and for the right reasons. And once I chose that path, everything has been way more peaceful and easy. And I can look back on all of the wisdom and all of the, great baskets from which I can bring out song lyrics right. of my life and use them to help others and to make really great music. But I've just learned I don't have to be in the middle of torture to write great music,
That's great. Now, I want to go back to something you said,
yes.
That there maybe were low moments where you totally questioned your worth, but then you chose or something happened. What brought you out of that? What was the moment of turning, if you can share that?
Yes. The moment of turning was when I, in a moment, realized that nothing I was created to do was available to me where I had boxed myself in. I had, through mistakes and life choices that were completely disconnected from God, I had boxed myself so much in sort of a trapped life. I wasn't able to sing. I wasn't able to just be any kind of expression of love or peace or happiness or whatever I was created to be. Any of the music that would have come through me was stifled. So it was an emotional situation, but I was in a spiritual cage. So when I just decided, okay, well, this is true. Like, this is happening. I'm in this moment. I'm not going to be in denial anymore that I have sort of trapped myself, that it was really my choices that led me to this. I got down on my knees for real. And I just said, Lord, I have done everything without you. I have completely made all of these wrong turns and I can't fix this myself. And I rededicated my life to Jesus. And I said, I gave him a really quick wish list. I just said, look, I need you to save me first. I need you to get me out of this cage. I need to get into a place of work where I can honor you, but it's a job. Like, I get paid. I need to get somewhere where I can make a living, but honoring you. And I just want you to bring me to a safe place where you can teach me more about you. And that's exactly what he did. I mean, one can think, well, I don't want to ask for too much, but I just felt led to ask for what I truly needed, not accolades, not I want to make a whole bunch of money. I didn't ask where to live. I just said, take me to a safe place and let my heart grow back in the right way. Like, just rebuild me, restore me. And he rebuilt and restored me. That's when I began my musical and dramatic ministry at Holy Land Experience in Orlando. I became a worship leader and I learned about spiritual warfare. I learned about girlfriends, like having that power of us idea that I've started to carry through my life. And he restored my heart. And I learned so much that after about 10 years of that, I am now in this season where it feels like wisdom instead of trying to crawl out of the hole that I dug myself into.
Wow.
I mean, it's all worthwhile. Like, fighting to get out of the hole is worthwhile, but now I'm out of the hole and I just feel like I can now turn all those mistakes into inspiration for others through music.
Wow, that's powerful, Jennifer. And so, wow, we could spend the rest of the podcast.
I got stories
just on that. But you know what? That's really powerful. It is powerful. So you came to a desperate point. You cried out to God, rededicated your life, but you made choices to get up and go follow. And I think that's beautiful. And then the fact of turning the pain, turning those lessons, all the frustration, the desperation into wisdom at this point. Well, that's a beautiful story. So thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome.
So after the new Mickey Mouse Club and hanging out with all these amazing people.
Very talented kids.
Absolutely. And you as well, of course. You went and did a degree at NYU, right?
Yes. Instead of, sort of following some of the kids to LA, I decided that I wanted to learn how to legit do what I've been doing for my childhood. I wanted to learn acting skills, and I wanted to take dance classes, with the best instructors. And I just wanted to see what it was like to fully educate myself in the craft that I really wanted to express for the rest of my life. And so I joke that I paid all that money to just go learn how to breathe, because that was a big change in, I think, how I dealt with my craft and how I actually dealt with myself as a person, to know how to breathe and to take the time it takes to process, maybe to listen for the Lord as I got older and learned how to do that. Breath is everything. And so I really cherish my time at NYU. My mother always said that no one can take a college education away from you. And I agree, but I was just one of those kids that I was such a early bloomer in professionalism, but I really didn't know who I was. Even in college, I needed extra time to become a whole person and to decide who I wanted to be. And though it took me probably 20 years after that to really, solidify where my path was, maybe 15 years. But, I needed that time. And so it was a good call. And I remember NYU, I wanted to see what New York was like. I was interested in Broadway. I was interested in the art of live theater. And I had done so much TV work, of course, that I just wanted to see how the other side lived. And I love it. I mean, if I could snap my fingers and be in a Broadway show, without all the work that it takes to get through the auditions, which I spent many years with that too, living in New York. I went through all of the processes and really learned as much as I could about that lifestyle. And if I could just snap my fingers, I love live theater and I love Broadway. I'm sure I'll go do some live theater eventually, but I just wanted time to explore the roots and really the classic original version of what I started doing, sort of raw talent wise. I wanted to get really good at what I did. Yeah.
Right. And you're happy you did it.
I am so happy I did it. Well, I love New York. I've spent probably close to 8 years off and on there past college. I've met amazing people there. I have amazing friends there. I mean, the talent and just the drive of my friends who live there. The Lord has taken me back through there many times, and I've lived in all the boroughs. I mean, I am part New Yorker. I love that place that much. And I love how God took me there this last time in my mid-30s and took me through all the auditions again. And I had a really great time. And then one day he just told me, okay, you done? Like, you good? You've seen it again. Now I really want to show you where I want to put you. And so even though he knows that I love New York and that, the dream of living in New York and being in that energy is always going to be a passion of mine, he led me to Nashville, where really, in a way, my life did start over. And so the birth of focused songwriting, the birth of my now married life, all my friends here, just the next chapter of spiritual growth, becoming a speaker and a seasoned worship leader. It's been a huge turning point for me. And it did come from allowing New York to have its place in my life and taking all of the wisdom that I did gather throughout those different years of college there and living after, and then just moving on, like allowing God to move me on.
Wow.
That I think is one of the hardest things of artists and rebuilding yourself, or maybe finding a new perspective in your career, is really letting go of what maybe you would choose just based on passion, and really thinking, okay, well, where am I being led? Where can I be best used? What is a path that maybe I would never have the courage to explore on my own that I'm being led to? And if I hadn't listened and allowed myself to be led to somewhere that I thought was just a place for country music, I would have never become who I actually am today, which I'm super happy and at peace with.
Wow. Well, that's very, very powerful. And here you are. Don't get mad at me. You told me.
Yeah.
You told me you'll be 40 this year.
And I'm adorable.
And you are adorable at 40. You were adorable at 12. And now you're adorable at 40.
My face just never changes. I keep changing my hair, but it just doesn't do anything. I mean, this is
but I mean, the cool thing is here you are at 40, an age where a lot of people are giving up and thinking, okay, I've peaked. I'm not going to be able to do anything else. And, here you are reinventing yourself after all this amazing early life success, wandering around, for however long, trying to figure out who you are, getting the degree, whatever happened after that, and coming to this desperate place, as we were talking about a while ago, and then kind of being reborn. I mean, rededicating all
restoration.
That. Restoration
is the word.
And redeeming it, but reinventing, yourself at this age. And you're here in Nashville. I'd like to talk about what you're doing now, and the new record, the new ministry, and all that kind of thing. So catch us up a little bit on what you're doing now, and then I want to get into talking about just the process of becoming a real songwriter. And so
a real songwriter,
right? I mean, you know what I mean?
Oh yes, yeah. What makes a songwriter? What's the definition, and how does that change between person to person?
Yeah.
Well, I forget, what was the first question?
The first question is what you're doing now.
What am I doing now?
Yeah, kind of catch us up with the new you.
I lovingly refer to this year as the 3-ring circus because this is just a year of juggling a lot of really important I would say platforms, because it's not for me, it's to share with other people, which is why there's so much responsibility that comes with it. And, for me, just, I would say a healthy anxiety of, I want to make sure that we get this right for the peoples. But it's a culmination of, like we've talked about, my life lessons that now I'm healthy enough to share with other people. So earlier, like in the past year or so, but this year I finished a script for a live show called Freedom Fighters. And it's about living fearless. It's for tweens and their families. So it's really for anybody who can hear the sound of my voice. It's a really cool live show where we basically train new recruits to fight fear really where it's met, which is in our mind. And so we just take them through this entertaining, comedic, really fun, high energy live show. So to go along with the live show, Freedom Fighters, I'm writing a book that we haven't titled yet, so it's still in the works. But basically, it outlines the theory of becoming a freedom fighter, like how I became this sort of prayer warrior and this mental battler for God and for His purposes in my life. So it lays out, really just unpacks what that show teaches in 2 hours. It unpacks it in a book, but using my life stories. So I talk about my journey of becoming a freedom fighter, and so that book will be released later this year. And then to go along with all of that, the inspiration for my debut full-length solo album was that idea of fighting fear, standing up for yourself, finding the power not by yourself, but with your ally, with God, with the power of us, through the love that we were created to not only experience, but to give back. And so just all of that running around, I've developed a 10-song full-length co-written album that takes me all the way back from the first moments of, I would say, childhood bullying moments. Now I can't say, because I've met a lot of souls who have gone through more of that than I did, and especially this day and age of social bullying, like I'm not the poster child for that. But it's very interesting to know that just a few choice words can hit a little girl in a way that you don't need to be bullied your whole life. You'll start bullying yourself. And that is what happened to me. So when I was about 11 years old, right around the time I started my journey on the new Mickey Mouse Club, I have a song that talks about those first moments of when I experienced kind of my first bully and how I had the choice to continue hurting myself with these lies about me or not. And at the time I had chosen to keep telling myself these lies that someone else had planted in my mind. But the song goes back and talks about the other choice. And it's almost like I'm going back to my little 11-year-old self in this song, and I'm telling her the truth. So it's almost like being able to restore even the memory, like to be able to maybe tell an 11-year-old today that this is the truth, not what they told you, but what I have learned through what God has told me. So, I mean, that's just one example, but it takes me back to my childhood, this album, but also like, because that's where the fight began, and how all of those years of not doing it right, maybe making crazy choices, throwing blind punches. It wasn't that I just laid back and I was a victim, but I was fighting wrong. I was fighting by myself. I just didn't know what I know now. And so it just takes you through the journey musically of me growing and becoming a seasoned, strong woman. And I call it a freedom fighter. I call it a soldier. I call it a warrior princess. But I've just become a very healthy, strong, wise woman. And this album takes you through all of those moments in my life that led me to today. And it's cool. And it's like pop. It's the stuff that I would listen to in the car. Like that was a big drawing point for me when I was working with my team and talking about ideas for the sound. Because I wasn't raised on straight up worship music, I wanted something to awaken possibly a seeker, a fan of the Mickey Mouse Club who maybe doesn't know Christ. I wanted to make sure that anybody could listen to this album for fun and for entertainment, but I'm going to start planting these seeds of inspiration in their hearts musically, and hopefully it'll grow, and they'll ask questions, they'll be interested in my life, and through just the lyrics that are very autobiographical, it's also going to be hopefully inspiring people to search deeper into my journey, what I can impart on them as far as my journey with the Lord, and maybe get them to the next level of growth and love and health. You know, I mean, it's all just meant for other people to benefit and be inspired by. Like, I can honestly say this wasn't about me. It really wasn't. And I think that was the hardest lesson that I had to learn as an artist and making choices and getting to this point, was that I've learned I'm not really into self-promotion. I can talk forever about myself, but it's about how I can give back to others and being excited about what I've learned. And now what can I do with that for other people, which was not how I was in my 20s. It was all about how can I become a celebrity and be famous. And that was way before Facebook and Instagram. Like, I know, right? I mean, still, I just wanted to be famous, and it was just the curse of fame, because I'd gotten a taste as a kid and it just wrecked me. But now, like, all of it's been restored.
Beautiful. That's beautiful. I just want to go to your church. I'm going to let you be my pastor. I know I can't be a warrior princess, but what you're saying...
There are plenty of the warrior prince population out there.
Yeah, well, I mean, what you were saying a while ago about just believing those 11-year-old lies. And, I know that I've done the same thing, whatever it was, back in the day. Mm-hmm. And so that's so powerful to redeem that and then have the opportunity through your story, through the platforms that God has given you. He always has a plan, right? He knows what he's doing. I mean, Romans 8, he's working all things together for good, no matter how bad we mess it up. But, but here you are, really redeeming all that and walking in wisdom. So that's very powerful. I'd like to use that maybe to spin off into talking about songwriting, because what the podcast listeners don't know is that prior to recording this little podcast with the lovely and talented and amazingly deep Jennifer McGill, is that she and I wrote a couple of songs last fall. And, when you write a song with someone, you especially new co-writers, I mean, we were new and we've been acquainted through some friends and your manager and stuff, but we had not written together. And 3 or 4 sessions, we wrote a couple of things. And I knew that Jennifer was getting ready for this album, but she and her very sly manager, who shall remain unnamed, Anne Riley Caldwell, they hid from me the fact that my song with you is now the title cut of your new album, Unbreakable. Ta-da! And wait till you guys hear it. I mean, if we can figure out how to debut a little bit of it here, got to get permissions and we'll figure that out. But when you do hear it over on iTunes, when it releases and everything, I'm blown away. I'm absolutely blown away, because, I mean, I've been writing in the worship field for, 30 years.
there's, CCM music sort of, but not even so much that. I've been really more strictly on the worship side for a long, long time, and that's what I'm known for. And so in this process, boy, do I want to jump in here. This was a great discussion we had beforehand, but, when I got with Jennifer, I'm not confident enough in my own instrumental playing. I play piano and guitar, but not in the style that Jennifer wanted to write in. And so we wrote this basically sans instrumento.
Yes.
And we just kind of went for it.
Yes, I remember I brought in just 2 song examples, just something from YouTube, an artist that I just liked the vibe of the song. I just liked the general nature of it. And I don't think it was that key that we chose. Maybe we started with that key to try. We just kind of, took a few stabs in the dark musically. Now, lucky for us, I'll hear a key and I'll just stay in the key. It's all good. Every pairing is different, but, I think I'm a new songwriter. And so I had ideas and I knew what I liked, but I needed someone to sit down who was a wordsmith with me and just hash out how to say this. Because I knew sort of the delivery system I wanted to use, but I needed the content. I needed to get from what from what I saw in my head, like the pictures, the action movie moments in battle. And I needed to get someone to help me make sentences basically and tell me what made sense and what didn't and what worked and what didn't. And so, it is all about the teamwork. It's all about collaboration, because as much as I needed you to realize the original vision I had for the song, this was almost like a totally different step for you, right? It gave you an opportunity.
Yeah, it was very
just,
cool.
Let me pop it out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like we just had our jobs. We did,
It was cool and it was really fun. It was challenging because I was really trying to listen to what was in your head and your heart and what you wanted to bring out. And it was really more about serving that for me, because I knew this wasn't a song that I was going to sing. It just didn't fit in my wheelhouse, right? And so as a wordsmith, more as a scribe, I love that word.
Right.
I was just listening, and you'd be like, what about the no? And I'm like, okay, I think what I just heard you say was, and then I would throw out 2 or 3 key words, and that kind of became. So we kind of just mined the depths of your heart and mind to get this message out. And guys listening, they just played me this song, and they put headphones on me and filmed me singing flat and out of tune and all that kind of stuff. But I had tears. I'm just really tears. This song is world class. It stands up to anything that you hear on the radio. And so I have really high hopes. Now I have a confession to make, because when we were writing last fall, I'm like, I'd drop your name and be like, I'm writing with a former new Mickey Mouse Club star, Jennifer McGill, and it's like, and they'd be like, really? And yeah, she knows Justin Timberlake,
that's on my name tag. I think that's on my resume. I know Justin Timberlake. I hang out with him.
But the truth of it is that, no matter who it's really about this gift, this ministry that God's given you. And none of us can really rely on who we know, to fulfill our ministries and to do the things that God's called us to do. So it's amazing, let's go back to you as the new songwriter and maybe what you learned out of that experience with me and with others, because seriously, the first thing that I think was really cool that the listeners ought to pay attention to is you don't have to be limited to your ability to play something.
Right.
Because I play basic chords on the piano and the guitar, and I can do really well in worship leading with a band and that kind of thing, but I don't do tracks. And one of the things that is really popular now in a co-write is to have a third guy there that they call the track guy.
Right.
And we didn't have a track guy.
Right.
We had the track guy in our head.
Yes.
And we were like, okay, now this is going to be like,
it'll be like this and like that.
And yeah.
Like I hear it in my head. Yeah.
Right. And so now today to hear what we heard in our heads in this amazing production is really, really powerful. So I think that's a really good lesson. But what else have you learned as a new songwriter coming into Nashville? You've written with a lot of other people besides me.
Yes.
You learned I'm the best.
Right.
But besides that, past that.
Title track best.
I'm telling you,
legit.
Hello. Come on. But what else have you learned? What has stood out to you in kind of finding your way through this new process?
Well, I think art cannot be left in a box. And so if you come in just with organizing and scheduling and trying to play the odds of names and who they've written with and what songs they've cut, I think you're missing the point of what can be as far as art fully realized. And, that's a big old professorial way to say, really, you just need to write with anyone and everyone, because you never know what will come from a certain collaboration. I mean, it's like putting two different colors together. Like, it's never going to be the exact same recipe, even if you are in a position of like, maybe you've written with one person and maybe someone was having a crazy day, but then you write with them again and it's like, oh, just the heavens open, right? Or maybe it takes you 2 times to get a song down. I've learned that songs are just like human beings and all sorts of relationships. Like, every day is different with the song, with the creation of it. And every day is different with the vibe and the energy of different collaborators. So I've teamed up with like 2 other people at once. I've teamed up with people on Skype and a track added, right?
Oh, okay.
Like a track that was given,
okay.
But that person isn't even there with us. I've teamed up with guitarists or keyboardists. I've even, along with how we kind of did it, I wrote with a girl on my living room floor with just stomps and claps.
That's cool.
Crazy. And that song made it on the album
record
too.
Okay, good.
Yeah. I mean, you just never know. And I think that the funniest thing that I've learned is that, I'm so like one and done. I'm like, okay, let's do it. Let's get it together. Okay. You like that? Okay, we're done. Right. Good. Now go. Right. But I have worked with really amazing, like seasoned songwriters who have been doing this for years. And one session was just someone playing the piano and another woman just sort of humming, and she's just feeling it for hours. And we wrote like 8,000 words, like, cause I just had to do something while I was waiting for her to hum it all out, but it's also a song that's on the album because I loved her melodies. I just knew that if we gave it another day, like if we came back and found a moment to come back to the schedule and like get us all in a room again, that it was going to be really impactful. And it was like, then all the lyrics came out the second time around, but I'm so impatient. I'm like, well, can't we just do it all? Can we just get it done? Like, let's just get it done. Like, we can find words. We'll find them. I just want to get it done. But not everybody works like that. And so like, maybe you're the opposite. So like, what if we wrote together and like you take 8 days and I'm like, you have to forage through, because you find such gems if you just let the song and the relationship and the collaboration bloom in its own time. I mean, it's all about giving up control of everything having to go your way. I mean, I think artists, we are very self-minded. We do have egos that we nurture in some ways. We want to present things that we're proud of, but we have to let go of how all that kind of turns out sometimes, how the process happens. You have to allow it to grow and to be nurtured and for the seed to just take its time. And that's different for not only every artist, but every collaboration and every day of that collaboration. So you can't plan it.
Right.
Big life lesson there.
They kind of have a life of their own, like you said.
They do.
I mean,
they're all little babies.
Yeah.
They're all little babies. They're all different. Gotta let them cry.
Gotta let your song babies. Gotta let your song babies cry.
You gotta change the diapers and you gotta let them cry.
That's really, really good. So you've learned a lot about yourself in this process as well,
and other people.
Yeah.
Just how to let people be themselves and to not think that I have to answer all the questions in the art or in the songwriting.
So you've kind of wandered off into co-writing.
Yes.
You didn't wander off. I asked you to talk about it. That's kind of where we started.
My first legit reason that I wanted to co-write was because I don't play an instrument. I'm just not cool enough. Like, I just don't play instruments. So I need people to help me.
Yeah.
To make sounds.
Yeah.
But then, it's really better. I like collaboration a lot better than writing by myself. I really do.
So you learned you were kind of impatient.
Yeah.
About that process.
Yes.
So are there people that you think you'll go back to?
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
I guess I'll hang out with you again.
Yeah, that's what I was asking.
Yeah,
it's
of course.
Are we going to write again?
We're going to book it.
After hearing Unbreakable.
Yeah, it's almost like I'm taking, like, once the album's out and I have a moment of not thinking about creating new songs, I'm going to take a moment to not think about it. But once I can go back to, well, here's something I'll say. I was just a fledgling songwriter as far as when I was in college, maybe was when I wrote my first song. I might have written one back in high school, maybe, and like poems. I used to write poems, but it was all sort of for a journal type of reason. And I dreamed of creating songs. And I like when we co-wrote, I have tracks in my head. have visions in my head about how a song's supposed to go. But back then there was no technology for me to even try to write by myself. And so I didn't learn how to fend for myself. So I just dropped the songwriting idea for most of my developmental years. And so I joke now that I'm writing for the first time really as a focus. All the tricks are available. Like it's not a new bag of tricks. It's the only bag of tricks. So it's like I'm just popping out all these interesting ideas and stuff because I've never really focused on songwriting before. So it's sort of like being born again. You're just like all these things, all these
rebirth.
Ideas. Right. So it's been actually very easy to come up with ideas and pictures and help writers, get an idea, a feel for what I'm looking for. I mean, that's been the really fun part, is to paint the pictures for people. Right. And so I just think the hardest part for me wasn't thinking of ideas. It was working and dealing with what other people needed too. Because then it wasn't just my brain. It was, okay, I need to hear their brain too. I need to make sure that I'm in the room with the person and not just going down my own little path. Every now and again, I would write with a songwriter who mostly had only written with themselves, like for themselves.
Right.
And those were actually the hardest ones to almost draw out of them. Hey, well, what about this? Because it's for my project, I feel bad about trying to offer up ideas if they're super bent on, okay, this is what I'm seeing. This is,
right.
You want to let them go. Like I want to let them go because I'm like, sure, like that's cool. But you just have to learn how to offer up your ideas and not shut down anyone else, but vice versa, to not shut yourself down if someone else is stronger. And it's almost like going on a bunch of dates.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like being really, like, not being rude, not being introverted,
right?
Like being open but guarded, and like, okay, well, what about, it is very tiring. It's the people stuff.
Yeah.
That was really the hardest thing for me, because even though I'm outspoken and I'm, a personality, I'm truly introverted. Like, I'm very sensitive to people, and so you get tired.
Yeah, you do.
Get tired. Like I see these really motivated songwriters who will write in the morning and go write at night, and then they go do, Facebook Live, and then they go do blogs, and I'm like, I need a nap. I need 5 naps. I need a cookie and some orange juice and a nap. And I'm gonna go suck my thumb for I'm gonna go watch a movie. Like I just want to hide away. It just because it just sucks all the energy out of me. But it goes to a great place. Songwriting, draws out really the most colorful and deep parts of me.
Right.
But at a high cost, for the moment. But I think that's worth it.
It takes tremendous energy. People don't realize.
Yeah.
It's like being on stage.
Yeah.
The adrenaline.
Yes.
I mean, unless you just don't care,
That's true.
or you're so familiar with this person, but new co-writes.
Yes.
Like when I was writing with you, because it was new, I mean, I feel a certain pressure to like, okay, I don't want her to think I'm like schlocky, or, what am I going to do? What am I going to do?
And I don't want to feel like I don't want to project like I'm stupid and I don't have any ideas.
I know.
You know what I mean? Because I'm just this little like, I'm just going to try this little songwriting thing.
I know.
Like I don't want to impede anybody's, art. And so it is hard to step into people's energies, but it's worth it.
Yeah,
and
you
shouldn't give up just because maybe something didn't click and a song didn't get finished with one person. I mean, we're still friends, even though for 6 months you thought
I
our
walked
song
into
wasn't
this
going
podcast
anywhere.
thinking that that I didn't live up to all the hype about who I am as a songwriter. It's like, okay, somewhere we're going to have to acknowledge that it didn't work. And then I'm crying because you guys played me such a wonderful production of that song that, I didn't know. But anyway, it's exciting. So you have, I think that in a lot of ways you have an advantage, because I work with and talk to a lot of songwriters that are not in, regardless of your the notoriety, the fame that you've had over the years, and the wonderful opportunities. You're now writing from a place of purpose, and you have a target. And I think a lot of the people that I talk to, their goal is just to get a song recorded. And so I think the focus sometimes is more on them than, I'm just speaking really bluntly to everybody, okay? But this is something that I'm seeing, is that it's more about them and what they think will make them feel better about themselves. Right, you know what I mean? Right. And I was like that, many, many years ago as someone who had never had a song recorded. I remember that I thought my life would be so amazing if I just got one song recorded. It would just fix everything, right? And now, 400 songs later, I still have all the same old problems.
And you still have more to say.
I'm me, right? I mean, wherever I go, there I am, right? And so for the people listening to me, sometimes I think they kind of fall into that place. And so what words would you have for our listeners that maybe could help tweak that, how do they find their purpose instead of just the purpose being getting a song recorded for validation?
Right. It's super easy to make it all about you because it's a business about highlighting parts of you and what you're doing. So it's normal. It's very normal to get sort of caught in that rut of how can I make me look good? How can I get an accolade? How can I get something on my resume or get something out there to get noticed? And, in my show business world, we kind of talk about that as maybe the LA mentality. I mean, it really is focused on the outward versus starting with the inward. And it is way easier said than done to reverse that for yourself and say, well, let's look at what's going on inside. But I believe just on personal experience, if you focus on something that may help as far as bringing the outside back in and kind of having everything start in one place. Think about what you're most passionate about that doesn't have anything to do with, breaking out, breaking yourself and, getting yourself out there. Think about what enlivens you in the world or something that you want to change about yourself or people like that. What just makes your heart quicken as far as a cause or an emotional issue, like maybe some of the things that you're feeling unhappy about that you're dealing with. For me, I am super passionate about the strength of single women and how they see themselves. And starting from little girls, like when I was going through self-esteem issues, starting from there, I mean, those battles and losing them were what brought me to this young adult and grown woman place of unhappiness. And so because it starts so young, I am very passionate about how women see themselves in the mirror, what they're listening to, who they're listening to, and what they believe about themselves. And so even though I'm a married woman, most of my life I have spent as a single woman trying to find the true healthy perspective on myself. And so that's never going to die for me, no matter what my status is in life. And a lot of my friends are in that place of singlehood. And I am very, very passionate about never being past your prime of purpose. That's something that I had to find again. So if you find that thing for you that includes other people, I am passionate about you feeling good about yourself and what you see in the mirror. If you find what relates to you, you can start writing on behalf of other people, but that you are passionate about as well. You're going to not only uncover, and kind of get some therapy out of what you're doing, but then you will also feel more motivated for the right reasons to show that to other people and to share it. And honestly, like just in a logistical way, like strategy wise, maybe if you're really talking about something that matters to your heart and that's not just about name dropping or trying to get it out there on Facebook with a really clever hashtag, maybe people are going to pay more attention, but at the end of the day, no matter who I know, no matter whose mom I talk to on Facebook, who's super famous, that doesn't get me any closer to my purpose. It just doesn't. Like if it were about who I knew, I would be, in the mansion next door to Christina Aguilera by now. You know what I'm saying? But that's not how everybody is designed to live their life. And so if you don't find yourself currently in the career place that you dream of being, A, think about why you want it, but B, think about the in-between time. Think about what enlivens your spirit and what you're passionate about and what you'd want to see changed in the world, and start writing about, like, find a little story, like me as a little girl at 11 when, two other slightly older, beautiful, skinny little teenagers told me I ate too much ice cream, and started this decades long battle that I had with how I saw my body, right? Like decades long. As adults, I don't hold any revenge towards them. We were all little children. And if they knew that they were responsible, if they contributed to something like that, they would be horrified.
Sure.
So it's not about, like, I don't write out of revenge. I don't write about bullies to try to make any point or to ever name anybody that I think has ever done me wrong. You've got to find the reason why you're writing, and you need to look for the restoration of it, look for the healing of it, look to try to write a song for someone else who's going through what you're going through. Just find different avenues, and you can almost write the same theme song 8 different times or more, just if you look outside past yourself. And then, a drop in the bucket of time later, you'll find that you have a whole new group of songs that you just want to talk about differently, that you want to talk about for the sake of what they say versus who you are and what your name is and who you know. And, and it's hard to do. Like, I'm saying this from personal experience, but it did not take a second to do. I mean, it took decades to get to where I am now and find a sound and just own it. Just own who I am today and my mistakes. But the last thing I do is write to make myself famous. I mean, it's the last thing I do, honestly, really. Because I just know how unhappy that goal was for me. It was just a fruitless goal. Like, what is fame? I mean, I know famous people, and just like you were saying, as far as 400 songs later, you're still who you are, and there's still more to say. There's more you want. It's the same for celebrities, right? I mean, they go through all their own trials and tribulations that those of us who aren't adult celebrities, we don't know. We don't know. Full grown people. Like, I dealt with it slightly as a child before social media was a thing, but now I can't imagine all the hurdles they have to jump over, even if they're healthy people, right? Even if they're like doing okay.
Yeah.
So much they have to deal with. Do we really want that as a focus in our lives? What I did learn, last but not least, what I did have a revelation about a few years ago was, all this project that I've started to put together, and this year is really sort of the birth of most of that work. If something did grab on as far as the world recognition factor, if something did sort of blast off and become a big thing as far as what I'm putting out this year, I would be able to deal with it this year. I wouldn't have been able to deal with it this way when I was 25 or even 30. But I would handle it just like anything else. It would just be a really cool thing, but it wouldn't be everything. Because it can't ever be everything. Even if you make fame everything, it'll never be everything. You'll never be fulfilled. And I know that from my friends who've told me.
Right.
So don't do it.
Wow. deep, wonderful stuff. Girl power. Warrior princess.
That's right.
But I mean, the purpose that I see in you and that I want to take a moment to acknowledge as we start to wrap up today is just the depth of wisdom. I mean, I knew that somewhat from writing with you last year, knew that from a little bit of interaction with you, but today I'm just deeply impressed with the work of God in you, and I want to acknowledge that. And, the beauty of your life and these experiences and just the willingness and the determination to reinvent yourself over and over and over and to draw on these things for the purpose of blessing and helping others. So congratulations on that. So tell us as we wrap up, how do people get in touch with you, your social media, and when to expect this project and how to tap into the new thing?
I am launching a Pledge Music campaign. By the time this podcast airs, it will be in full effect, and we will have footage of you and me on there behind the song episode about Unbreakable. You listening to the song for the first time and us talking about it. No, it's awesome. It's just brilliant. I can't wait. But I'm really excited about the Pledge Music campaign. It's going to be counting down the weeks before the album is released this summer. And so there's a lot of cool stuff that I've never done before. Like, first of all, I've never launched any kind of campaign. And so we have photo shoot footage. We'll have video, like music video footage. We've got behind the song episodes with the co-writers talking about why and how we created the songs, etc. Lots of behind the scenes footage. And that's stuff that I have always wanted to share with fans, especially my older fans who've been with me since I was a kid. But there was maybe never a reason to do that. Social media these days, you can be on Facebook Live in a heartbeat. It's just never kind of been my bag, like just to go get on social media. I use it sparingly. But because of Pledge Music, if you subscribe, I get to just flood your eyes and ears with all my funny little antics and how this album came to be. And so it's like a cool, safe bubble if people can just look into that. So I'm really excited about that avenue. You can buy a lot of cool items and experiences that I've never been able to give to fans before, like handwritten lyrics, maybe of Unbreakable, and, doing Skype sessions with fans and so many things. Like, again, there's going to be like probably, items of clothing from the video shoot and the photo shoot and stuff. Just things that people can get a hold of that have just never been a reality before.
And this is pledgemusic.com?
Yes, pledgemusic.com. Okay. And we'll have the link. You can find me on Facebook. I have a public page. It's at The Jennifer McGill. Okay. Instagram, I think it's The Jennifer McGill. I'm on Twitter too, The Jen McGill. Okay. All right. But I have my, once the Pledge Music campaign has finished, when the album comes out, you'll always be able to find me, yes, on social media, but also at jennifermcgill.com. So basically, if you Google my name, you're going to find me on pretty much any social media outlet. But the Pledge Music campaign is a very cool, new, one-of-a-kind, unique thing that's happening right now that I would love for fans to take advantage of. I mean, like I sit there and I'm editing the videos. I mean, I just want you guys out there to know, like all the work, it goes way beyond songwriting and way beyond showing up to sing the music. Like I'm actually comping vocals. I'm, helping people produce, and I'm editing these videos. And my husband was looking at me yesterday as I had the big laptop on my lap, and he said, "Why are you smiling?" And I said, "Oh, I'm just editing this video of me," because I'm just dealing with all of my friends who helped me co-write, and it's like I just get the smirk on my face when I edit, because if it makes me smile, I know it's going to make the people watching smile. So that's what's going to be offered on Pledge Music if you subscribe. So great. I'm very excited about that.
Excellent. Well, we're very excited about it as well, and we'll make sure that all that information is in our show notes. So be sure and check the show notes with this podcast, and be sure to like and share and love the lovely and talented Jennifer McGill, but not because she needs it, but because you need it, because you're going to be blessed.
Because I love you. That's how that works.
Jennifer McGill, thank you for being here today on the Song Revolution podcast, and for sharing your story and the wisdom and just being real. And I want to thank you and acknowledge you for being authentic and, not trying to put a sheen on this thing that's not there, but being real and sharing the struggles and helping people that are listening to know that God has a purpose for them. And, maybe there'll be an intersection in their lives with what you're doing, but we do look for exciting and amazing things to come.
Thank you so much, John. Yeah. Pleasure. Always a pleasure.
Pleasure. All right. Well, that's it for us today on the Song Revolution podcast. And as always, you can drop me a line at John, JOHN, at NashvilleChristianSongwriters.com. Be sure to join our Facebook group called Successful Christian Songwriters, and check out all of our blogs and posts at NashvilleChristianSongwriters.com. If you like this episode and got a lot out of it, we hope that you will like it and share it and subscribe, and just tell some friends about it, and let them know about all the great things we have going on. So again, this is the Song Revolution podcast. I'm John Chisholm. We'll see you next time. Thanks for being here today for the Song Revolution podcast from Nashville Christian Songwriters. We exist to empower you and to bring you some of the greatest inspiration, insights, and important people from the Christian music world to help you write your best and to be heard as the songwriter that you were born to be. Be sure to like us on Facebook, follow us over on Twitter and Instagram, and connect with us through our Facebook group called Successful Christian Songwriters. Until next time, I'm John Chisholm, calling you to a Song Revolution.